Thank you so much for your time today, guys. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. This show, I mean, I wasn't too aware of this show, but from what I can gather so far, it's been a huge success. You must both be delighted with not just the success, but the kind of the reach that the show has had, which is going a bit global and a bit mad.
I'm the I was like the co-creator, and I'm the showrunner. So for me, it's super exciting because I think that kids, I think we really struck a chord, and kids can relate, even though it's about like a discipline that most kids aren't part of, and I think they can relate to the interpersonal relationships and the kind of struggle, and also there's a huge spectacle element and fun, and Krin can talk to the circus element because she's our circus consultant and also our star.
But I think the thing that's so exciting about this is like within the circus and also within the show is that there's something for everybody, right? So like if you just alone in the circus, if you like the athleticism, if you like sports, you can be interested in that. But if you like dance and art and music, you can also find something for that. And then so with Big Top Academy, not only do we have all the like magic of circus that people can connect with, but you've got a story, and you have all these interpersonal issues and all these like, kids these struggles. So for me, I'm really happy that it's really reaching a chord, because I think that there's so many kids who they can definitely, no matter where they are, they can find something to relate to in the show.
Yeah, and I guess it's a testament to the power of circus and performing, all that kind of stuff, given that, kids these days can look on social media and do all these other things that they could do with their lives. But circus still has this amazing pull. There's an excitement, and there's like, it's so great for the imagination to watch that thing. You must be equally delighted that the power of that is still shining through as brightly as it did all those years ago when it first started. It's been going for centuries.
Yeah. I'll just say, when I started the show, like I came to it as a person who was afraid of clowns and, wasn't a big fan of the circus. So, however, one of my best friends is a huge circus fanatic, and he gave me like some books to read. And so I really got immersed in the history of the circus, and it became, and I found that like so interesting. And the thing that I really kind of glommed onto was the idea of like circus as a family, that it's unlike any, many other disciplines, in that, certainly in the past and now also, people, they live together, and they perform together, and you develop Krin can speak to this, like a bond that is so close, because you could be like dissing your friend, but that's the friend that's going to hold you up on the trapeze, and you have to trust them in a way that is unlike other, maybe other school situations. Do you think that's true, Krin?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when, and just also when you do circus, but, and I think when you're watching circus, there's just this awareness that you have of everything that's going on, because not only, and I think this comes through, you're not only are your friends holding your life, but everybody has to be aware of what's going on in the space and in the room and where things are. And then there's, artistry and choreography and stuff on top of that. So I think just like that focus and that awareness that is trained and through circus, the public really can see that. Like, and so, not only you keep working hard on something together as a group, within circus, and you form this troupe, and you're so bonded. And I think, that's what just is really fun for the story and for circus in general.
Well, I was going to say that for me, the other exciting thing was, living in Montreal, Cirque du Soliel is such a storied institution, and I'd seen Cirque shows, but I hadn't really didn't know anybody. And then I went to the École Nationale de Cirque, the big circus school in Montreal, and spent a couple days there, and saw what that school was, what circus school is really like, and then spent some time at Cirque du Soleil, where they manufacture all that magic. And you know, also with the history, I just like thought of, it was easy. It wasn't easy, but you know, the stories and were there. You know, there was so much to mine that I hadn't really thought of before. So that I really enjoyed the process, and also the, you know, the performance, working with, you know, Krin is one of our circus consultants as well as the show. Also, we do Cirque du Soliel. One was a trainer, one was a choreographer that really brought, like, you know, the magic to the show with the and the costumes and the lighting, and it was, so all of that was really exciting to work on a performance show.
Yeah, absolutely. I just spoke to some of the guys actually, and they were telling me about how they spend so much time together. You know, it's like you have quite a long, because you've got so many episodes, and you know, it's like 14 months I think they spend together. So it must be good that you've 52 episodes in a season. That's mad. That's more than Friends. That's more a year than Friends. Yeah, so 52 episodes is a lot. So you must be relieved and also delighted that you cast correctly, because these guys have to spend a lot of time together, and it's good that they all get along, and it feels like family. Otherwise you might have been you might have pulled the short straw, as it were.
So one of the things that I was so impressed with, Scott, was that, you know, the kids came with all different types of experience. They were all super talented, right? So both, you know, for me as an actress, but also me in the circus consultant role, you know, all the kids were super talented, and they all worked really hard. So not only, like, that was the thing that about this show that I think was really special. So not only were they working as, you know, professional actors, they were also learning things that they'd never learned before, like circus tricks, and they were getting coaching, and they were taking notes, and they were just, you know, they had to do so much. And so they were all working really hard to make this show come through and feel, you know, alive and real. And, you know, so it's not a joke. Those kids really did those things, and they worked super hard. And I think that, you know, I like to define circus as the impossible achievable only through practice. And I feel like in this show, like, those kids, they had to do so much, and it really comes through in the show, and it just makes it feel magical, because they're not just actors, they're also acrobats, and they're like always trying new things. And so whenever somebody's doing something that's the hardest thing that they can do, it's interesting to watch.
Yeah.
You know, even if they aren't the best of anything, as long as they're doing their hardest thing, it's super interesting. You know, even if it's like a simple thing, but if it's the hardest thing for you, you know, the viewers really can connect with that. So, and
yeah,
you know, go ahead, Leila.
Well, I was going to say that what Krin was saying is really true, because our shooting schedule was, we'd shoot for 4 days, but we had one training day per week. And these, like, you know, if you take someone like Madison Bridges, who plays April, her background was ballet. And by the time the show was done, like, you know, she was doing like very sophisticated drops on silks. Mm-hmm. She was on the trapeze. She was doing hoop, you know, aerials and all this kind of stuff that she didn't, you know, so in a way, like, it really was a circus school for these kids. And they all, you know, really stepped up. Even like, you know, Drew, who played Nicholas, like, he, you know, he was a song and dance man, and we hired him because he's, you know, he's a great actor. But by the end, like, he did this bungee drop that, you know, was pretty spectacular. So he, you know, everybody brought it every day. And, you know, when you say like how close everybody was, it's interesting, because in the spin-off show that we're doing now, School's Out edition, I remember like thinking about it, you know, and then calling them up and just saying, so, you know, got this idea, like, if we could interest a broadcaster, would you guys be interested? And it wasn't just like the kids, but it's also like their parents, you know, they stayed in touch. They, you know, they were actual friends, and they all, like, you know, they all were, even though they had all grown up and everything, you know, now they're like some of them are 16, they're not children anymore, but, you know, they're doing the show, and it's great with the same kind of enthusiasm.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, even though it's not, I know it's obviously circus and everything else, but there seems to be this real kind of new energy to your show, the Circus, and then also people bringing back musicals in such a way. Look at something like Hamilton. High School Musical,
Right.
La La Land, all these things. It seems to be that there's such a great, all these kind of things that were such big back in the day and then maybe went away for a while and everything else. Now they're coming back in such a great way. That must be so rewarding to you guys, knowing that these things are still part of the public conscience, that people still are interested in this and not just the giant blockbusters or, you know, the big TV shows, everything else. There's a real desire to see musicals and performers and circus artists all at the same time. That must be really rewarding that people have taken to it in that way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the things that I did when I you know, created like the writing team was I don't have a background in performance, so I hired like writers that had done like The Next Step and Backstage, you know, and they were integral, and they also you know, helped me with helped create this new show, and they brought all their, you know, skills as performance, you know, writers of performance shows. And so, and then, you know, we had like the music of Chris Morena. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's very famous in Argentina, and we had her music, and we had like the whole, you know, Cirque du Soleil backing, and the, you know, the access to a lot of you know, I guess access, would you say, Krin, like access to some facilities, I guess, and some things. But yes, you're right, it is rewarding, and it makes sense in a way because it's so real. Like, it's like live theater is the realest thing. Yeah. Same with circus.
And Scott, the other thing that makes me feel so, you know, just makes me so proud of this show, you know, it's like I performed all over the world. I toured for, you know, years and years with really great circus companies and really great shows. But the number of people who were able to see what I did is, you know, it's limited. And so for me as an artist, as a performer who really cares about telling stories, not, you know, through words, but also, you know, using circus and more with character and things, like, for me, with a show like Big Top, we're actually able to reach so many kids who might never get to see circus, and who might never get to see the process and the hard work and, you know, all of the different elements that come together to make this magical art form. And so for me, it's just so heartwarming that we not only, you know, we had so many resources to make the show, but like, we're able to translate those resources to so many kids who wouldn't ever get to see, you know, this process and to learn more about circus. So for me, it's just heartening.
And I think it's a good message too, because, you know, it's the physical challenge. In a way, it's like kind of the opposite of what a lot of kids are feeling now, which is, you know, stuck inside or, you know, tied to a device. Like, you know, they see another kind of like struggle, and I feel it's aspirational.
Yeah, absolutely. How much, it sounds like a silly question to ask, but how much work has gone in, have you guys put into this? Like, how much work does it take for you guys to have these guys kind of ready and performing? Because I can imagine it was quite an undertaking, but I guess as the time's gone on, they've all got better and become more kind of aware of what they can do and what they can't do and become more proficient at it. I mean, Krin, for you, I mean, how when you first started, is it as much work as it was when you first started, or is it more, or is it less, or about the same?
Well, the world of creating a television show is truly very different from
Yeah.
a show. So, I mean, those things are, I mean, those two worlds are very different. And then when you try to put them both together, absolutely, it is a lot more work than just putting together a television show, because you have just so many different levels of the, you know, human achievement side, you know, of just building the circus and the skills. Circus just takes a lot of time. It isn't fast. It's not, you know, and that can't be faked. And so, yeah, I think it was hard work. I mean, it was like people like Leila who just moved mountains to make this happen. It was an incredible, it was a lot of work. It was a labor of love, that's for sure.
I guess, like, you know, it, in a weird way, like, it happened really fast, because when I came on in January, we started shooting in September. So, you know, that was 27, was it 2017? Anyway, it was really like kind of a whirlwind, you know, and 52 episodes is a lot. Now there's some guy drilling outside my door. Anyway, you know, so we were shooting from December until October, so almost a year of like just like relentless shooting and writing. We were writing while we were shooting, so we trying to stay a couple steps ahead.
It's like, it must feel like making a massive movie in some respects. You know, you look at some of these big blockbusters and they spend so much time. It must be the same for you in your world. A lot of work,
yeah.
a lot of know-how and stuff, but you guys seem to have a knack to be able to do it, but with, you know, a lot of sacrifices.
It was really like again, like it was a team thing. Like we had great writers. You know, we had a producer, like one of our producers, Jonathan Finkelstein, who's founded the company. And we had two, you know, good directors and the whole circus team, and everybody really pulled together. And, you know, it was very low budget. It was very low budget, actually. It looks good, but, you know, we made a lot of decisions. Like we decided that we weren't going to go on location, you know, that the seasons weren't going to change, that, you know, we ended up going on location at the end of the shoot. I think we did one day of location, but, you know, so we had to create a world that wasn't claustrophobic, you know, in a crummy industrial building, you know, in a bad part of, you know, Montreal. And it you know, it was like, everybody was all in. That's all. I guess that's all I can say. You know, you got to work at 6:30 in the morning, and you got home at like 9:30 at night. It was like that for a long time.
And like what Leila was saying, not only was everybody all in, but everybody brought their creativity. So it's not like, you know, I don't feel like this show, you know, again, the luckily the budgets and stuff were not my bailiwick. It wasn't my responsibility, but everybody came with so many good ideas that, you know, when you've got creativity and creative people just trying to make things happen, it really just grew and blossomed into something a lot more. You know, that wasn't just like, you know, this square thing. It could, yeah, I think everybody really was super creative on the team. It was really impressive.
Yeah. I mean, a quick question. Obviously, you guys are in lockdown now, and you're making. You said you're making the most of it and doing the at-home version and everything else. Has it affected you a lot in terms of going forward? You know, obviously there's going to be different precautions, and you're going to have to do different things as and when. Because obviously, in where you guys are is very different to how it is in London, where I am. You know, our lockdown is easing. It's easing slightly. It's easing slowly but surely. You know, pubs and restaurants are open again, and the sports been happening for a while behind closed doors, and cinemas are set to reopen at the end of this month, but that keeps getting pushed back and everything. But how is it from your point of view as a showrunner and doing all the stuff that you guys do? Has it put a strain on you, or is it good that it's giving you a little bit of time to reflect and stop and then be able to go again?
You know, it's funny. Like I have like this thing started in March, and I think we came up with the idea in April, you know, and then I've been working like really hard since then. But I've conducted, all the writing took place on a call, and the way we're doing the training is, you know, we have Krin and Andrea Ziegler, who's our choreographer, and they've been, you know, meeting with the kids on a Zoom call and rehearsing on Zoom calls, and it's the parents are filming them, and we're using, like, you know, these little cameras, and it was, I guess it was a big deal to come into the office, because we sort of set up a control room in the in our office, and you know, social distancing, got to worry about your hands, like you got to wear a mask. So it's the whole reality is pretty. I don't know if you can hear me now. Maybe I have to move. Can you hear me? Because this guy is drilling a hole outside. So it's been, I guess it's been an extra stress. And the other thing that's weird that I find is that when you spend, like, you know, the 10-hour day shooting it, and you're just sitting in front of a screen. I find that that's just as exhausting as running around on a set. I don't know why, but it is.
Has it been frustrating for you, Krin, not being able to do it, or have you enjoyed kind of the new dimension that you've had to use to get the kids trained and everything else at the moment?
No, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it, but I have to say, it's all about finding silver linings in the situation, and that's like I am laser focused on that. We are doing. I mean, really, it's pretty incredible that there is a new series being. That Leila's brought this incredible thing together again in this situation. It's a really big deal. And the thing that I think is so cool about it, so yeah, sure, it's tricky working with the kids. It's a lot easier to just be in person and just be able to demonstrate and be like, hey, try it over like this. Of course, it's slower, it's less precise, but we all just have to be, I think everyone's really humble about like the human element, everyone's trying, but the reality is kids get this. Like this is, my son, his end of his school year was all on these Zoom classes. And so he gets it. Like the side chats, there's like so much there. And so kids are actually living this experience. So to have a circus, a really cool show that they already love that is reflecting their experience, I think that's going to really strike a nice chord. I think it's a good way to carry the like energy from Big Top Academy and keep it going, because kids get this. They know this is what they're living.
Yeah, I think there was a number of videos early on in the pandemic where groups of artists, like troops of ballet troops and Cirque du Soliel and all the sort of artists that weren't working figured out a way to perform together. And that's really one of the inspirations for this spin-off is how these kids that are so close and they have this bond of circus and performance, how they manage to figure out a way to stay together while apart. It also had another big inspiration for this was my sister was early on, she was saying to me that she's going to buy a cow because she wants to be more self-sufficient. And I thought, well, that's an interesting, I was wondering like, well, how are people thinking about this? Because, in a way, like that was a big part of the zeitgeist, was self-sufficiency. And I think now it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I still think the world is very weird because nothing has really changed except that people are walking around wearing masks. But I mean, there's no cure and there's no, real therapy for this.
Yeah, it's a strange time. Strange time indeed.
Also,
indeed.
I have to say, I also got to meet working on this show, I got to meet Pop, the people at Pop, mostly Craig Huntry, such a great guy. And they've been so supportive. It's crazy, like to have such good broadcasters. So that was really great. Like, and there's the other thing about this show is, we've always included this mystery element, and it just gets wackier and wackier. And on the spin-off show, because we couldn't, bring in other actors, like we couldn't audition. So instead of having bringing in evil people, Krin is playing 2 evil characters. So she's playing her triplet and an ancestor, 150-year-old dead ancestor. So she plays a ghost, an artificial intelligence kind of hologram, and another evil twin. So.
That's the final questions to you then, Krin. Have you enjoyed that? That sounds like so much fun.
It's fantastic. It's so cool. I mean, it's a dream, and it's really fun to play evil characters. So there you go. Absolutely, it's very fun.
Much more freeing, they say, to play bad people than the good people, I guess. In acting, obviously, maybe not in real life. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes,
I wish you all the best with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys! Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey